And welcome back to Movies That Matter. I'm your host, the Viking. This is episode 5. So basically what the Movies That Matter show is we break down all the latest TV news, movie news, trailers, reviews, anything really that comes out of the movie world, DC, Marvel, any of that kind of stuff. I bring it to you, we talk about it on this show, you guys give me feedback of what you think about all the news that's breaking, and yeah, it's very hard to find news, substantial news that keeps people interested, and nowadays, especially in a world of COVID and no theatres, but productions are still going on in the world of movies and TV, even though everything else seems to be kind of shut down. Production is going well in all of those, which is good for us fans because we get to still discuss and talk about what could happen in certain movies. But let's get on to topic number 1, guys. And topic number 1 is Brandon Routh returning as Superman in the Flash solo movie. Brandon Routh played Superman in the 2006 Bryan Singer Superman film that did okay at the box office. Overall, it wasn't a great film. It wasn't received that well. For me, it didn't really have that much kind of action in it, and there was never a sequel greenlit. But Brandon Routh got some redemption in the end. He got to come back and the CW, the Crisis on Infinite Earths. He got to come back and play a Kingdom Come version of Superman. And you know what? He did pretty well, and he looks like Superman. He does. He's got the look of Superman, and I think with the right material, he could be a great Superman. But we know that the Flash movie in 2022 is going to play with the multiverse. Michael Keaton's Batman is possibly returning. Ben Affleck's Batman is returning. And who else could appear in this Flash multiverse? Many people have been saying, is Henry Cavill going to show up? Could Gal show up? Or could we get different versions? Could Brandon Routh show up? Could Nicolas Cage, because he was in line to play the character years ago, could he show up as the character? Or could Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern appear? That's a new rumour that started. So anything is really possible with a Flash solo movie, because any character can come into it, because the Flash can use the multiverse and cause destruction that way and end up meeting Michael Keaton's Batman, which is going to happen, which is going to be pretty cool to see. But Brandon Routh, he had this to say about him being in the Flash movie as Superman. He goes, I think there's always a possibility. Of course, they're bringing in Michael Keaton, which I'm excited about, and some other people from the past DC projects. I think it's very exciting. It worked really well on Crisis on Infinite Earths, and I was extremely proud and honoured to be part of it and reprise my Superman, so it's absolutely a possibility. You can do anything. Everybody lives and dies all the time in those things. And that's my opinion about it as well. You can bring absolutely anybody. You can bring people who didn't even play the characters but were in rumours to be cast as the character. You could have DC characters from the TV versions. You really could. You could have, even though that Ezra Miller showed up on the Flash show with Ezra Miller, who's to say Ezra Miller can't show up? But Brandon Routh is open to the idea. Of course he will be to play Superman again in a massive blockbuster movie. Of course he wouldn't say no. He's an actor. Of course he's going to say yes to an acting job of that prolific value. But to see Brandon Routh show up in a Flash 2022 movie for whatever amount of minutes, pretty cool. And I think we're going to get more surprises got to do with the Flash movie. It's a long time away right now, and it could get pushed back even more because they haven't even started shooting yet. And you know, with COVID and everything like that, so we don't know how long we're going to have to actually wait for the Flash movie. But Ben Affleck is returning, Michael Keaton is returning. Could Brandon Routh return as Superman? You guys let me know your thoughts in the comments. Would he work as a live action Superman again, in a little capacity of course, in the Flash solo movie? Would you like to see it? Do you think he should be redeemed on the big screen, just like he's been redeemed on the CW? And I think a lot of rumours as well that he could get a HBO Max Kingdom Come Superman series. I think a lot of those comic book movies and shows depend on the success of Zack Snyder's Justice League, because that's the big one right now. That's the big one with a lot of money put into it. If that's a success and brings people to the platform, then I think possibilities of other projects like this will come into talks, definitely for AT&T. But guys, let me know what you think of Brandon Routh possibly returning as Superman. But he wants to return. Okay. So let's move on to topic number 2. What's topic number 2? Topic number 2 is about Han Solo 2. Yeah, you heard that right. Han Solo 2. Now, the film overall didn't do that well. You know, it was okay. But for a Star Wars film, it probably should have made a lot more money. And with such a high profile character like Han Solo, it probably should have made a lot more money. Of course, Harrison Ford wasn't coming back. This is more kind of an origin story for Han Solo in the Star Wars universe. And you know what? I really liked the film. Now, I didn't get to see the film in theaters. I came late to it. I know there was a lot of production problems with the directors, with changes of the script and things like that. And then Ron Howard had to come in last minute, make it into his film, but also using pre-existing scenes that were already shot from another director. And he tried to make a good movie. And I think he did make a good movie. It's an enjoyable movie. And I actually really like Han Solo. I like the prequel Superman material or Star Wars material more than I like the Star Wars trilogy that we've seen in the last while, you know. So I did like Rogue One. I liked Han Solo. I liked The Mandalorian. But the Star Wars series that they're trying to do right now, I wasn't really a big fan of. But here's what Ron Howard had to say about the possibility of a Han Solo 2, which I would like to see. No rumblings though. This is not a spoiler or anything, but I think there is interest in those characters. I think there's interest in the gangster world somewhere down the line. But I can assure you, there is nothing being developed right now for a movie or Disney+. But one great thing is there has been a lot of affection shown for Solo, and so of course that keeps boding well for them to eventually turn it around. Could it end up as a Disney Plus show? I think it's meant for a Disney Plus show. There's lots of characters. You got Lando, Emilia Clarke's character. You got so much you could do on a Disney Plus show and expand this world in a Mandalorian type essence, which I think would be pretty good. If you wanted to make a Han Solo 2 and just put it on Disney Plus, I think that would do pretty well as well. So do it. That would be pretty cool. And Ron Howard, I think, did an okay job with the circumstances that he had. He's a great director. And I'd actually like to see a Han Solo 2 with Ron Howard involved in the script, with him involved in the story, and him with the project from start to finish. That, for me, would be pretty good. And look, his thoughts there, he said there's no spoiler, it's not happening right now, but hopefully that can turn around. There is a fan base for there, and people do like Han Solo. I know it didn't make that much money, maybe the marketing wasn't the best for it, but I think it was an okay movie for a Star Wars movie. And I think it's better than maybe The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker as an overall story, a narrative story. But that's what I think about that. Guys, what do you think of the possibility of a Han Solo 2? Could it be a possibility as a Disney Plus series, just like The Mandalorian? The Mandalorian is killing it right now with success. Could the next big Disney Plus Star Wars show be Han Solo in some capacity? I know the Obi-Wan Kenobi show is coming, but if they could make a Han Solo, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and The Mandalorian, that's big stuff that could attract people to the Disney Plus platform at the moment. Okay, let's move on to topic number 3. Topic number 3 is about Christopher Nolan and his thoughts about the pandemic and the theatre's reaction to it. This is what Christopher Nolan had to say. I am worried that the studios are drawing the wrong conclusions from our release. That rather than looking at where the film has worked well and how that can provide them with much needed revenue, they're looking at where it hasn't lived up to pre-COVID expectations. And will start using that as an excuse to make exhibition take all the losses from the pandemic instead of getting in the game and adapting or rebuilding our business, in other words. And I think Christopher Nolan here has this off to a T. I think he has said it perfectly here. TENET came out. What did it make? Over 350 million at the box office. I know a lot of that was worldwide. But it still made money in a pandemic where people are afraid to be in crowds. People are afraid to go out into places in case they do get sick. And the film made that kind of money in a pandemic, I think, is absolutely remarkable from TENET. And what would a film made if it wasn't in a pandemic? It would have made a lot more. The buzz was there. The trailers were pretty good. It didn't fail because the film was bad. It didn't fail because the marketing was poor. It didn't fail at all. It just didn't make as much as it probably could have, because of the pandemic and the circumstances we find ourselves in. But I've said this. I said that if TENET had come out and another movie of high profile had come out after it, and you had another movie and another movie and another movie, it would have attracted audiences back to the theatres. And that's my full opinion on it. And I think Christopher Nolan touched it here as well. We need to adapt. The theatres need to adapt. And I know money is a big thing. Many of these theatres, they lease out the buildings that they're in, and it costs money to have employees and all that stuff. I understand that, but I think they had to go through a process of depression in terms of the door not being absolutely full of people coming in and out. I think it had to go through that phase. I know over the last while it has, but there was no new movies coming out, and if there were new movies, there weren't anything to really write home about. That's why I thought For the theatre experience to come back in full flight, I think it needs to have blockbuster after blockbuster after blockbuster that has a huge fan base, and this will attract people to come back to the theatres. Now, this could mean that movie number 1 fails. No, movie number 2 fails. 3 fails. The 4th or 5th or 6th blockbuster movie could be the reason that people start going back to theatres. And I understand that nobody wants to be the fall guy. The movie that comes out first doesn't want to fail. Second, they don't want to fail. They don't want to lose money. But I think that's something that theatres have to consider to get the theatres back up and running. Now, Warner Brothers, they took the first hit. Christopher Nolan took the first hit, and fair play to them for putting the movie out in the pandemic and making the money that did. But it needed another movie to come out after it. And Warner Brothers weren't going to put out another Warner Brothers movie after that because they've already lost a bit on TENET. It was up to the other studios to come in and say, right, like a Disney, like a Universal, and say, right, we're going to put this movie here, and we'll have these movies together, and this will attract people to come back. But nobody wanted to be the fall guy. Warner Brothers weren't going to put out TENET, then Wonder Woman, and then another one, because it would have lost too much money for them. But the studios should have been working together to try and get the audiences back into the theatres. That's what really should have went down. And Christopher Nolan touches here. We have to adapt. The rebuilding of the business, in other words. Adapting to what is going on right now in the world. If theatres let this continue, this will be the reason that theatrical experiences are dead. This is why it will not be able to recover, because it has waited too long, it has stalled too long, and just said, well, that's it. This COVID has really messed up everything about the movies for us. No point of having the theatres open. That's where streaming services like Netflix, Apple TV, you got Disney Plus, Hulu, Amazon, they are thriving right now because people are stuck at home and they want something to watch, and they're happy enough to sit down, and they will get into that habit. People will get into their habit of sitting down in their own home with their own food, chilling and watching something new on Netflix. And the quality doesn't have to be that good for a Netflix show or movie to do well. It really doesn't. Look at the highest grossing Netflix films or shows in terms of viewership. Some of them aren't the best movies, some of them are very good movies, but it's not like a movie like TENET, which is something different and something unique about it, or something like a comic book movie that would come out. So Christopher Nolan hits the nail on the head. They're using the TENET example as their only example, and that's it. We tried it once with TENET, it failed, shut the theatres down. It's the wrong way to think. It's already admitting defeat straight away. So for me, it needed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blockbuster movies to come out once after another. This would have got people thinking, well, the theatres are open, I want to go see that movie, I want to go see that movie. And it slowly would have built itself back up. And that's what I think personally. Let's go over the quote again, but I'm worried that the studios are drawing the wrong conclusions from our release. And rather than looking at where the film has worked well and how it can provide them with much needed revenue, that's what they need, they're looking at where it hasn't lived up, the negative aspect, where it hasn't lived up to pre-COVID expectations. That was never going to happen in a pandemic. No movie was going to make $1 billion at the box office because we were living in a pandemic. And I think that's the mindset that theatres, that studios were in. Oh, it didn't make money that it would have. Let's pull all this stuff out of the theatres. Let's shut down the theatres. And it just ended up not working. Guys, what do you think of Christopher Nolan's thoughts about the theatres' reaction to COVID not doing that well, and also the studios example of COVID didn't do that well, why should we release Black Widow or Mulan or any of these things if they're going to fail like TENET? That's kind of not having enough confidence in your own product to be the movie that brings people back to theatres. But that's just my opinion on that, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And last topic for today is about Zack Snyder's Justice League, the trailer. So much drama over the last few days about the trailer. It's been taken down off Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. What's going on? Then it was taken off YouTube. People were losing their mind. It's Toby Emmerich, it's Jeff Johns, it's all those people, the conspiracy theorists put out. Well, the reason I thought it was that it was a rebranding of the marketing, and it well could be a rebranding of the marketing, but the excuse that's being used right now, or the valid excuse, or the reason, is that there was copyright issues with the song Hallelujah, the Leonard Cohen song, in the trailer. Now, I remember a lot of YouTube channels were having difficulties with copyright claims and stuff like that about the trailer, because it's a great trailer, but there isn't much dialogue in it. It could be perceived as a music video with action comic book scenes in it, even though it's beautifully crafted and really well done by Zack Snyder, and it means a lot to him and his family. It could have been, that's where the copyright claims came in. And many channels were hit with copyright claims. I remember I was watching the Kevin Smith show, maybe even live I was watching the Kevin Smith show, and Snack Snyder's Justice League had just dropped and they wanted to put it on, and the show was just completely shut down because of copyright claims. So that's basically why it was taken down from all of the platforms, and I think they said that it will be put back up when things are resolved. So what I think is the November 17th is around the corner, and that's the 3rd anniversary for Zack Snyder's Justice League. Something will drop that day. I'm convinced of that. You can't be a scientist to predict that. It means a lot to the fan base, that date, especially last year's trending day where Ben Affleck, Zack Snyder, Jason Momoa, Gal Gadot, Ray Fisher all tweeted hashtag release the Snyder Cut and stuff like that. So that's a big day for the Snyder Cut community. So that's going to be a day that something definitely will drop. Will it be the trailer? That's a huge possibility. But that's the day when the trailer does go back up, in my opinion, that's where the rebranding of the marketing will kick in. As I've said before, at the moment there's three titles for this film. There's the Snyder Cut, Zack Snyder's Justice League, and the Director's Cut of Justice League, or Justice League the Director's Cut. There is no marketing campaign set in yet because HBO Max is not international yet. I don't know where I'm going to get to watch it. It hasn't told us yet. It hasn't said a date, what time, what price, any of that stuff yet. That needs to go into the marketing when they fully put the marketing up for show. And when will that be? I don't know. They'd want to hurry up because in my opinion, if they leave it too late, it could be bad for the product. But copyright issues are the reason that it was taken down, and that's okay. And I do think when it goes back up, we will have the definite title, we will have the definite release date, and that's where the marketing will kick off. Because at the moment you can't really market it because there isn't a set title. The Snyder Cut is one of the titles. Zack Snyder's Justice League is one of the titles. People, average audiences, we know what it is, but average audiences who don't need to be educated. They need to be marketed on what this thing is called, where it's coming out, how to get it, how much, why they should get it. So that needs to come with the next marketing campaign. Now, will that happen when the trailer goes back up? That's what I think. That's my opinion. At least the title will be made. It will be announced. It will be called Zack Snyder's Justice League or Justice League the Snyder Cut, whatever it's going to be called. That's the marketing campaign kicked off from there on out. That's what I think is going to happen. Guys, let me know your thoughts about the trailer being taken down over copyright issues. Do you believe it, or do you think there's more to this? And also, do you think when the trailers are put back up online, do you think we'll have the title? And do you think this is the marketing campaign getting ready to kick off? I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Guys, if you were joining me here live on Instagram, I really appreciate you being here for the Movies That Matter show, episode 5. If you're watching a little bit later, get into the comments. Let me know your thoughts on each topic that we talked about. I'm really interested in hearing what you have to say. Guys, you want to come follow me on Twitter? I'm on Twitter at MovieBuff100. You'll follow me on Instagram at Movies That Matter the Viking. And come to my YouTube channel, Movies That Matter, and give a subscription if you're not already subscribed. I really appreciate it, guys. Come talk to me about the one thing we love, which is movies. And have a good day.